welcome everybody. My name is Chima Chiaka, and I welcome everybody to today's episode of the Voyage Podcast, which is powered by the CADware Radio. In this podcast, we're going to be exploring the truths behind the journeys of this very, very unique personality, the sacrifices that he has made, the cultural shocks that he has endured, the failures that nearly broke him, and how his resilience has kept him rising through. So, having said this, I will like my guest today to introduce himself formally.
Hi everyone. My name is Udoka Okonta, founder of Kaegar. I don't know how do you want me to introduce myself. For me, is I came to the United Kingdom in 2021, and it's been a good journey. It's a journey of self finding myself. It's a journey of growth and being able to most of all add value, because that's one of the biggest things that I have seen here, being able to add value. On the side, I work doing a lot of digital transformation, business and digital transformation. I also work with another company on a volunteer basis called CADware, where we've been able to so we're getting to Kaegar, which is my company which I currently run. It's based on findings I got, working with CADware, where there are a lot of people that were trying to transition careers, people that were trying to say, I've done this training, or I've gone to university to do this particular course, but getting into the marketplace has been a challenge. It's been a trouble. And what we did at CADware was to develop an accelerator program within CADware to support such kind of initiatives, where we say, we've set up particular projects, programs, right? And we are open to, getting some people to come on that accelerator program, right? To build that knowledge, to work on projects, to get that experience. So it's different from CADware as a company, but that accelerator program has shown a lot of potential. It's been working so well, and it's evolved into where I am today.
Okay, thank you. So there's CADware and there's Kaegar. But I do know that you and I have a shared background in the past from Guarantee Trust Bank. So you're telling us about UK. Most of our audiences would like to know who Udoka Okonta is before the United Kingdom. Who were you back in Nigeria? Or if that is where you're from, and what were the kind of things you did there, and why did you decide to leave Nigeria to come to the United Kingdom?
My background, I studied economics, my first degree. I always wanted to go ahead and work in the World Bank, go do a master's in.
That was pretty ambitious.
Dreams are valued. It's just about how you get there. I wanted to just go do a master's, and from there go do a PhD, in economics, and say, I'm going to work in the World Bank. However, things happen along the line, and maybe let's say a bit of perspectives change, some realities happened, and that's fundamental to where I am today. But after studying, I worked with joined Guarantee Trust Bank 2011, worked in different units, right? Got to understand the financial system, got to understand technology as it works. Fortunately for me there, I also got to understand how the legal aspects work, especially with commercials, right? Got to understand how international trade works, right? So for me, I had my hand in every single thing within my 10-year span there. Transitioning to the UK was necessary at that point in time when I did, because it was, let's do a bit of upskilling in a different environment and see if we would get better results. Let us see how that would pan out. And that's why I'm here. But I enjoy, outside here, I enjoy reading books. I enjoy having time with my children. I spend a lot of time doing a lot of mentorship, mentorship programs. It's something I didn't really have growing up, but I've told myself, you know what, always look for a way to add value back to people around you. So that's a bit about me.
Okay. So we know about you, Kaegar and CADware. We also know that you with two of your dreams, the World Bank dream. We also know about your work in Guarantee Trust Bank.
Yeah.
But what about Udoka, the family man? How do you see? First of all, are you married? And if you are married, were you married in back in Africa or the United Kingdom? I'm saying Africa because you haven't told us where.
Okay,
what
yeah.
part of Africa
Or whether I'm actually from Jamaica or Thailand.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm originally from Nigeria.
Okay.
Originally from Nigeria. My wife is from Nigeria also.
Right.
So we got married. We married how long now? 13 years ish. Yep. So you know, we're trying to follow you. You are the expert in this business. So I have 3 children, and outside here I enjoy spending time with my children, especially driving them to read books. Right. So on a regular basis, you take them to the library, you know, pick up enough books.
Oh wow.
Pick up enough books, you come home, and apart from your school work, there's a standard amount of books you have to read. I like that Ben Carson. I think we said it from after watching Ben Carson.
Okay.
Right. So I'm not big on them just focusing on reading only just physics and chemistry. Just pick up any book in the library that adds value. Right. And as they keep growing, I start evolving the kind of books they read. So there's a world of books that they drink on a regular basis, much more than I could ever have done. Right? I tell them that it's an opportunity for them to see the world faster and quicker than I could ever have done. So that's that. And I love my wife. She's there are a lot of things I wouldn't have done today if it wasn't her. If it wasn't her, she knows how to push those buttons that supports my growth, that supports me taking some decisions that I would have like, you know, let's keep watching. I'm like, let's take it. What's the worst that will happen? If we jump and we don't land well, at least we tried the jumping, right? So that's it. But I enjoy my time outside work with my family. It's a very, very big deal for me.
I want to ask a question. I always ask these questions, especially to those who are married. You know, we our spouses are very special. Our spouses are very special. A lot of us, not some of us, actually took time to pray and to ask God to give us that one person that will walk the rest of our lives with. Some others just pick them out of the blues. I can't say much for those ones, but even at that, you know, I personally I am of the opinion that marriage is a journey, not a destination. It's not about having the dream wedding. It's about, you know, the love, the financials, the everything, the entire
person. Yeah.
How has it changed in the United Kingdom, and how have you maintained it? I don't want to assume it's a bed of lovely plum roses. I'm not asking for the challenge, but I'm asking for what were those things that were different and what helped you through it, because I know what the social media is saying about the West and bringing our wives to the West, or wives bringing their husbands to the West, and the challenges. But what have you done differently? Because now right now you're saying, oh, I love my wife 13 years. I'm like, that's lovely, but how have you maintained that love?
So nice question. Just so that you also remember that roses have thorns. I never really understood that roses have thorns until I started touching roses and saw that they are thorns. But that's an aside. That's an aside. Right. So when you say bed of roses, it's good to put that in perspective. Before I came to the UK, most of my day was spent at work. Right. You would basically, if I have to be in the office by 8 or being 7 for some meetings, I have to leave the house as early as 5:30. 6 latest, right? If you're able to beat traffic. And I'm back 10, 11. So imagine this on a Monday to Friday. And at the point in time, we start having some of these meetings also on Saturdays. Luckily for me, Sundays were always free. And moving, and so my wife was mainly holding that front. Moving to the UK, things changed because I came here as a student, and my wife had to work nights. What does this mean? We have to adapt.
Yeah.
We have to adjust our way of doing things. It was a big shocker for me at the first point, let's say the first 6 months, because I wasn't working then, but she was working. And she had to be doing all of that. And I could feel her pain. I would have wished I was in that show. With hindsight now, I wish I had been the one that studied and had come to work. But this woman went all out and made sure she worked. Went all out. And while we came here, I had a 7-year-old, 4-year-old, and a 4-month-old baby. So I was
4-month-old baby. Childcare is a big deal here.
Yeah. So and luckily for me, then we're still able to school from home. We're not going to classes. But that was just trying to come out of COVID. And so I would tie my baby at the back, I would be shaking her at night just to read or have meetings with my team. Everybody in my team, in my class, knew about my children because they were a core part of it. In the morning, I would put her in the pram and we'll be running to school. School was about 20 minutes away from where we're living. So it was a whole lot of journey. And I could see my wife train herself into all of this. But so just to tell you a bit of how the adjustment has been, and I promised her one thing, that I knew there was a lot of pressure, and where we come from, the men usually would carry the burden of the home, right? But it was now her burden, and it was a huge shocker. It was a huge change. But one thing I tried to do was I tried to tell myself, this period, I guess coming here, I learned to spend much more time with God. It was deliberate for me, and I found out that it works so much more for me because getting to renew my mind, change my mind about a lot of things, getting to know that, it's your home, you have to hold it together. Yeah. Getting to know that, get into the kitchen and cook, right? Get in the kitchen and cook, get the house ready, get the house clean, get the laundry done. Whether your wife appreciates it or not, my job as the man is to love my wife. The Bible never had said anywhere, oh, wives, go and love your husband. And so there are days I expected her to show me love, and maybe she didn't. And I had to keep reminding myself, Udoka, remember, you don't want to show love. And that means that even if things are not going well, your job is to show that love, right? So, and one thing I know that it's a reworking of the mind. It's a reworking of the mind. Even she's angry, but you've told yourself, I will not get angry. Tell yourself, what? I feel bad about this, but I go back and I sit down like, God, what am I doing wrong? God, what am I doing wrong? Why am I getting this? And every time I keep learning that it's your job to lead as a king and as a priest. And so after school, things turned around. Luckily, during school, I was deliberate about how I positioned myself in the marketplace. But I will not say that's why I got my first job. I got my first job by God's mercies because it happened just within a week I finished school. A week after that, I also got another job also as an associate lecturer at my university. So it's been a big deal knowing that. And one thing I've been very key about is making sure that my job, right, positions me in a way that I have time enough for my wife and my children.
That's intentionality there.
It was a deliberate effort that we had to look at, because if I really wanted to drive my career the way I really wanted it before now, I would be in London, always be on the move. But with the way the UK is, you have to be deliberate about your family, right, so that you can grow with them. So that's it so far. I don't know if I've answered your question.
No, you have. Thank you for exhaustively answering that question, because it's not just fulfilling Proverbs 18:22, which says that you should he who finds a wife But it's one thing to find the wife, but it's another thing to keep the wife, and I think that's very very important. But all you have said, I wanted it's leading to the next question, which is about the culture shocks. There is Nigeria, our value system, and there's the United Kingdom and their value system. And
Yeah.
we are the visitors, so we need to adapt to them, not the other way.
Yeah.
So what culture shocks did you encounter?
It's during Christmas or festivities, Christmas or Easter, the entire road is empty, shops are closed. Where I come from, that's supposed to be the period when all the shops are open. That's when there should be parties. That's when there should be noise everywhere, But everyone, what I had seen here is that such period was like a time of it's now like a time of retreat here in the United Kingdom, where families, those who are some extended families, tend to meet together, be together, right? So it was a big shocker. You come out on Christmas Day, the entire road is empty. You might not even have transport.
Yeah.
And if you don't have a car, you might not have transport. And like, how does this work? Shouldn't this be when everybody should be trying to make money? Shops should be open, making so much money, but it's a totally different ballgame. But I understand it, and for me and my family too, we have adapted. We've gotten to understand how this works. Also, you can't just shop at anyone's door and say, "Oh, I came to see you. I'm already at your door." Nah. yeah, everyone tells you should have called me before you came. Like, hello. That's not. But you have to learn it,
yes.
And because everybody here values their time.
Oh yes.
Even if they're not doing anything at home, they just want to just be alone, quiet at home. Everybody values their time.
Sure.
Right, and you value their space and value what they value. Right. So I think those are some of the stocks. What else again? At work, everybody seems so polite. So polite. They're not happy with you, but they're smiling and telling you, and so what I've had to learn is to learn the mannerisms, learn what they are saying. So there are some things that are being said, and it's assumed that you understand that I am not happy with this, right? And for example, someone says you're supposed to maybe have a meeting by 2, and you're now being told, "Oh, would you mind us having the meeting earlier by 11?" It actually means, please, can we have it by 11? It actually means I want us to have it by 11, but I just want to seek your permission. So there's a lot of nuances which are being learned, and it's good because then you see the world from other people's perspective, right? And you say, okay, what are the good things within this perspective that you can add into your own home? But there are some that eating some kind of food, half baked eggs that are not yet fully done, and they really like it, and they eat. You get to eat just maybe a slice of bread and tea in the morning, and like where we come from, we eat bread. We put egg. There's a lot of food, and the tea is a big cup, So tea is a big cup, and you eat till you are filled, Those are some of the differences, but as I've been here long enough to even see that whether you're Asian here or you're from other parts of maybe Eastern Europe or any other place, or even from North or South America, everyone has different nuances and traditions which they are used to, and you get to a place you have to understand, okay, this is what works here. Which of these are good to adapt into my own home, and how do I adapt it? Maybe not just taking it hook, line, and sinker, but how do I adapt it into my own place?
There's some things that you said that I wanted to move to the next question, but I wanted to properly digest it well. You talked about the multicultural and diversity at the workplace, and how certain things are said, but this is what it really means. Yeah. Then I wanted to, just in 1 minute, do you think your corporate work experience has made it easier for you to adapt in the UK workplace?
So my experience back in Nigeria, right? My work experience, it's helped me significantly here. But I don't know about the multicultural part, because the multicultural part is more or less you being able to understand the nuances and how to do. But one thing that my previous work experience has helped me do here is that you take work as work, right? I get into a task, you give me a task, I can see the big picture, and I put my heart and mind to it. My boss has told me, look, I will close by 5. 5 is closing time. I'm not expecting you to be sending email by 6 or 7 p.m. Go home, have a life outside work, right? And so those are some of the changes I've seen in the workplace. Because from where I come from, if you are working tonight, you could be working till 8, 9, right? Because maybe I don't know if the financial institutions work like that here also. We're working late, but here, my boss tells me, don't you have a life outside work? You should have a life outside work. You should. Those are things that you celebrate, and I've been deliberate about having that life outside work. Being able to understand the nuances is not necessarily because of my past experience, but you are clear that you want to understand the system, right? Understand the system, and someone has said something, or they're giving you a feedback, and you're asking, is that feedback or really that feedback? And so maybe I'm discussing with my land manager, this was a feedback, and the way she's saying, okay, could you go back and ask this person this? And you're like, okay. So you are learning that being polite is natural here, right? It's natural, but with that naturalness, you need to understand where someone needs their space, where someone needs you to understand the shift in timing, right? Okay. Where we come from, we are very good with sarcasm, right? And so I sent my daughter to get me a cup of water, and she brings it, and she says, Daddy, maybe I'm on the phone. Okay, Daddy, see the cup of water. And I said, keep it on my head now. Just like I keep it on my head. And when we first came, my daughter was actually trying to keep it on my head, and I would look at her. There's this thing we call bombastic side eye, right? There's this thing we call bombastic side eye, and you're looking at her, and my son would just say, don't put it on his head, don't put it on Daddy's head, and she's like, what should I do? I said, no, put it on my head, Yeah. I don't know why. I've tried avoiding those sarcasm, but you can't just throw them away. Maybe it's a part of our life, right? Where someone says, oh, Daddy, what should I do? Or Daddy, should I climb up? I said, no, don't climb up. Just be going. And you're looking back at me, and I'm like, it's just the eye that we call it bombastic side eye. That eye says a lot. That eye says a whole lot. You go to parties, and then they are sharing food, and your mother looks at you with one eye. Automatically your head should be telling you, don't touch it or don't eat it. You can maybe, even if you take, don't eat it, don't even try eating it. And here your child will be asking you, Daddy, why are you looking at me that way? Why is your eye being like this? But it's something I'm teaching my children. So you must understand it both ways, right? I'm looking at you that way. It means that be careful.
I think I'm having a good time laughing because you're just bringing back lots of our values back, and everything I experienced as a child. But it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing because this thing we say in Nigeria where they say common sense is not that common.
Yeah.
You see that bombastic side eye. It's trying to tell you that you're supposed to use your common sense from from now on. That's the thing. But I also value the fact that while we're in the United Kingdom, we should not drop the baton and also pass on our Nigerian values to our children. It is very important that
good Nigerian values, the good
ones, yes, the good essence of who we are. You understand? So it's your interview, so I'm just trying to it's bringing me a lot of humor and reflections, but I will not dwell much on that because I've had
so just to add, but there one thing I've also learned here is to learn to talk to my children.
Oh yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
because growing up, those sarcasm, and you're all alone. But now, sometimes something happens and I have to call them and explain. Do you know why I've done this? And he says no. I'm learning it. It's been hard, but having to sit down like, okay, this is why I did this, right? This is why I did this. They're like, oh, daddy, but we could have done it this way. Okay, I say, okay, I'm sorry. This is how I know how to do it. I might not have responded rightly, but you know what? Next time, I'll take you up on it and I'll do it, respond to you the right way. So it's for me, it's a whole lot of learning. When your children tell you that you're not posh, I'm like, that's fine. So I'm trying where possible to make sure that I'm able to communicate it rightly, not just sarcasms happen, yes, but learning how to also sit down and discuss with them so that they know that you're not just being antagonistic, you're actually helping them to learn a lot within that space.
Thank you a lot for that. Thank you a lot for bringing out this very important part about communication, which is very key. I wanted to pivot into the next question, which is we have Kaegar and the other company that you worked as a volunteer with, but I wanted to ask, what birthed these two companies when you landed in the United Kingdom? What were those challenges in terms of, it's very easy for you to be trapped in a rat race.
Yep.
And it's very easy. You just get in, and there's this common mindset that, the first kinds of job you can get is care and support. Then there's the warehouse. Then you start it and you're not able to break out of it. So what did you do initially? Then when did you wake up and launch out?
So I'll give you this caveat, right? I would not say because I was brilliant, right? I'll give you that caveat. I'll not say I was brilliant. I'll just say that God was merciful to me.
Hold on, I want to ask a question. You keep mentioning God.
I'll tell you why.
I want to ask just a very simple question before you proceed. Okay. First of all, this is The Voyage, powered by the CADware Radio. So my question to you, Udoka, is what scripture has held you strong? Because from that scripture, then I want to relate it to, I'll let you go into what scripture, biblical scripture, has held, because you're a man of faith. You keep mentioning God at the forefront of stuff.
Okay, so I don't mention God just because I want to. It's because it has become a center point for me. So when I came to this land, the first scripture I looked at, I held on to was in Genesis, where Isaac, he said that he was going to. When he left where he was, he went to the land of Gerar, and there was famine. He wanted to still leave, and God said, no, stay here. But there was famine there, and God said, in this land I will bless you and I will prosper you. And he said that, and Isaac sowed in that year, and he began to prosper, and he said he began to prosper, and he prospered so much that he became great, right? And so for me, when I first came to this land, I kept on telling myself, this land might not be everything.
That's Genesis 26 verse 3.
Yeah, the terrain might not have been everything. There are a lot of restrictions. It's not exactly like where I came from. But in this land where people are saying that they are casting down, that they are having issues, I will prosper in it. And I used to hold on to it very well. And every night, I would wake up at night. Every night, I would wake up at night, and I would look for one of the old Hallelujah challenge, and I would dance. I would dance and I would tell God, in this land I prosper. I have clarity on what to do, and I joined NSPPD. I'm a very one of the key reasons why I was able to come here was that I joined this NSPPD, Pastor Jerry. I learned a lot to pray. So praying, I found that one thing that was very key for me was that praying it was not necessarily because prayers were answered, but prayer, in the act of praying, it changed me. It changed my own mindset towards a lot of things.
Importantly, a lot of people think that prayers change God, but sometimes prayer
helps you to change.
helps you.
Exactly.
It strengthens you. You remember when God was saying Elijah that eat this, because the work ahead is
It's
people
still
might
a
think
lot.
that a lot of times it's food, but Elijah was a man of like passions that was also given to prayers too.
Yeah.
Because prayer does something to you also.
You change it, yeah. And so even there are times like when I started telling you about my wife was because I used to, but I said like, God, why is it I'm always begin to have these problems with my wife every time? And I was always trying to pray about my wife. God, touch my wife. God, and one of the days, but Joyema Day, because I listened to him very well, Covenant, I follow him. So he said sometimes you need to start praying about your own self. Sometimes it might be you that God needs to become better. And I kept saying praying about myself. God, what is it that I must change in my mindset? What is it about me? And I was very deliberate. So I would wake up, I would sing, I would dance, and every day I come out, I would tell myself it's going to be good. Some people are saying, oh, and I used to tell my wife, whenever I started hearing people say, oh, things are bad, oh, this is what I cut it off, I shut it down. I don't, and some people say, oh, you are being fake. And I said, that's fine. That's my own reality. Because I know that when Paul says that whatever things are good, whatever things are honest, whatever things are good reports, say what? Think on these things. Why should I be thinking on things that are not going to add value to me? And so, while in school, I started getting a lot of opportunities with my supervisor. I told him I wanted to do a PhD. I really wanted to go do a PhD. But along the line, my wife was the only one walking. And we started asking ourselves, do you want to really go do a PhD? And she still keeps on carrying that burden of that. Luckily for me, a week after I finished my exam, after submitting my project, I got the first job. And it was hinged on that I was being sponsored. And my wife just got a job that sponsored her, right? 2 weeks after, my university calls me and says, look at my project, my supervisor called me, look, are you not coming for the interview? And I'm like, what interview? She says, come to school the next day, there's an interview for you so you can come as associate lecturer. I laughed and I went. And March 2022, I had 2 jobs.
Wow.
I was an associate lecturer and I got a job as a business analyst, in an IT consulting firm. It was a point when I started asking, what did I do right? I started asking myself, what did I do right? And till tomorrow, I don't know what I did right. All I just know that, and that's why I tell you a lot of things I do today is about the mercies of God. But while I was a student, every day when I went to, so I said doing a warehouse work, because it's part of when you come here, sometimes you need to go down to, the first 6 months. I think after the first 6 months, I got a warehouse job.
A senior banker doing warehouse job in the United Kingdom.
Once you've migrated, you've gone elsewhere, you must tell yourself, you're clear where you are going. So wherever you start from, it's not a problem. It's not a problem wherever you start. And that's the problem. So people don't know how to bring themselves that down. I have a friend that says one day while he was in the warehouse, he saw one of his group heads entering the same warehouse. And he first was trying to dodge for a while. After a few days, he's like, let me go and greet my guy. All of us are on the same plane. And I'm not bothered about where we are starting from, but it's about that picture where you are going to. And the truth is that not everybody has your picture.
Sure.
A lot of us here came afraid, right? But while we are afraid, you still keep on, and that's why I said that thing about spending time with God. Every time it keeps on renewing your mind about what you are listening to. There are people that are still making it in this land. There's some people that are eating of the good of the land. As my father would say, do they have 2 heads? True. Right? So, and that's what I tell you, it's just God's message. So it's not because I was really brilliant. Yeah. It's just that those opportunities came and somehow I was able to evolve. So during my warehouse jobs, this is what I used to do. During my warehouse job, I used to do this 10-hour shift, right? 10 hour. So Friday night and Saturday night. Friday night into Saturday night into Sunday and Sunday night into Monday. I think so. But what I used to do is, while I'm working, I will be singing and be dancing. I'm telling you, I will be singing and dancing. And so my colleagues, any day I'm not singing, they will ask me, Udoka, is all okay? They don't understand what I'm singing, but Because I'll be singing to myself and dancing and washing trays, and that's what I was doing. I would be singing and dancing, and it got to a time that while doing it, I was hearing clearly some instructions from God, right? I would not necessarily go into that discussion, but I could, because it was something that became a lifestyle. And during my breaks, I would sit down and I'm going through every kind of document online about business analysis. I'm going to, you can never see me during break just sitting down to just discuss. I'm reading everything. I'm on Udemy. I'm going through some trainings. Every single break that I had, I told myself, you cannot fail. I knew what the challenges my wife was going through. I'd been the only one that was the key provider, and this was not where I wanted us to be, right? So I needed to be for a while, but that was my every day. So any day I'm not singing and dancing, they would come and ask me, are you okay? It's all okay. And it became my bread and meat, every single thing. And so when I got that job, for me, those jobs, it was really God's blessing. It was really an opportunity. Some people will say, oh, but we've tried also, it didn't work. And I'll keep on telling them, don't stop. Don't stop. Because you asked me another question about, so CADware. So while I had evolved into my job, right, one of the days I was trying to do this global talent visa. I was trying to apply, and then in my church, there was this, my pastor had this company called CADware, right? And they had this software which they had put together, but it was not being maintained. The business started in 2020, but was not necessarily run. It was just there. And I asked, you know what? While we can put CADware to run, can I put together like an accelerator program within it that helps people that, you know what? I was able to transition, but I'm seeing a lot of my friends that are unable to transition.
Yeah.
Right? Especially those who have even paid a lot of money to go for trainings, those who had studied it in university, those who had the same experience back in Nigeria or in India or Pakistan, anywhere, and they needed to do that transition, but they were not able to do it, or it's been a struggle. And then I just said, just to do this for a few people, and said, okay, yeah, that's fine. And all we were planning to do was to help upgrade that software. And we started with about 5 people, and it was a bit topsy-turvy trying to start it then. But guess what? We've grown. We've been doing this since 2023 October, and this is 3 years plus. We've grown to about 80 at a point in time. I had to reduce it down to 50 because all we needed to do was to focus on building people. Because I believe that if we build people will build products.
Sure.
Right?
Wow.
And a key part of it was, it's not just the skills that we're putting together, but building that capability to be able to discuss on a larger scale. And so while doing all of this, some people say, you know what, Udoka, why not set up a training company, to train people? Because I didn't want to train. CADware was not a training ground. It was not supposed to be a training ground. And so I set up my company called Kaegar to do training. We started doing training. And when you're doing that training, I enjoyed teaching the business analysis part of it. But every day I started having this pangs again of, I used to have back in Nigeria that there was much more to it. Because I could see there was a bigger picture, right? And so Kaegar later on had to evolve into that bigger picture of, people have skills, but they are not able to translate that discussion into, when I go for an interview, they are not able to translate that discussion into the real workplace, right? How do I have that discussion? Even when they get the jobs, how do they position themselves rightly, right? So Kaegar is not a consulting firm. We're what we call a career intelligence organization, where you have skills, people have skills, right? People are looking for jobs. Whereas organizations are still saying that they are unable to hire people.
Yeah.
That is a huge gap. And now you have a lot of people say entry-level roles require 3 to 5 years work experience. And this is a reality in the market.
What has changed? Why is the market like that?
because the marketplace has changed and people did not know it. So there used to be cycles, there was there are different eras, from the I don't know why I just forget them now. The industrial era, the agricultural era, you've got into the tech bit, the internet, the age of the internet, and in recent time we've entered the AI era.
Yeah.
And what happens is that within each era, the timeline within each era reduces significantly.
Yeah.
Now, if you were hiring a graphic designer in your organization to do a lot of things before, with £7, £18, you can pay with Claude or ChatGPT. You can do that on your own, and you ask yourself, why should I pay someone salary to do that? And so the only thing you will now pay someone to do is what you cannot necessarily get doing this online. You need someone else to come in and think. Right? So what you're looking for now, you're looking for people that would think, people that can adapt, people that can communicate, and that's what is being paid for. Whereas people are just trying to build skills and say, oh, I want to learn how to do Power BI, I want to learn how to do SQL, I want to learn how to write these programs. Those things are good to learn. But when you know that those are good to learn, but when you go to the interview, what are you selling? Are you selling those skills you have learned, or that I can do this job, I can explain how you do it? People want you to come and solve their problems.
You know what? Interestingly, I attended an interview. Some of my friends were conducting an interview, so they invited me to the board. And while I was listening in while they were conducting the interview, and they were trying to explain to one of the interview people how in their current flows of project management, how they needed to automate certain processes, which meant that they were now no longer just doing basic kinds of project management, but how can we, as we are talking, we have the meeting minutes, then the business analysts are from, read AI, the transcriber transcribes it into elucidate it, and how do we reduce a lot of time? So I was listening and I was watching the person answering the question, and he didn't know, and I felt sad because he hadn't evolved. He was stuck, like you said, the training bit. So theoretically you can do it, and probably traditionally you can do it, but you are in a comfort zone. You haven't woken up to the AI era.
Exactly.
My question to you now is this: how is Kaegar, like you said, able to help people transition? What is so unique about Kaegar as a company?
Okay, so what Kaegar does now, Kaegar helps people to get ahead, right? We're not helping you with CV. That's not our job, right? We're not helping you to prepare that way. No. What we are trying to do is, you are transitioning career, whether you're starting your career afresh, right? Or you are trying to transition. You're asking, can this person solve problems? Do you know how to adapt? Can you learn quickly? Can you work with others? Can you communicate clearly? In CADware, where I've had to do some of this with people, I found that not everybody is patient. Not everybody is ready to communicate. So these are deliberate efforts. When you're communicating, and let me not lie, I've had to learn this in marriage also. Learning to communicate is not about how I want to be communicated with, but that person. How does that person want to be communicated with? Right? And so these are very, very core issues which we've had to look at as an organization. How can we create value? And we've gotten insights across the industry for years in Kaegar. And so what Kaegar now does, we try to provide clarity, right? Able to make career decisions, right? For example, someone has gone to study midwifery in the university, right? And you come out, the problem that they have is that they're only looking for midwifery jobs.
Yeah.
Whereas there are tons of other jobs that require the skill you have to apply there. And so what we've done, we have this big map, right, of evolving roles that as a midwife, you can, with midwifery experience, you would be able to evolve into. I'll give you another example. We've had a few legal people join our accelerator program.
Sorry, Udoka. So when you say the accelerator program, that's for CADware, right?
CADware, yeah. Okay, so yeah.
But what about for Kaegar? You will train, then prepare them for the job market, or do you train, send them to the accelerator program? How does it work?
Okay, so why I try to blend the two, because in CADware is where we saw gaps, right? And we now, so in CADware, so for example, we've seen where someone joins a legal part and start working with us on our tech bits, and the person now has to learn what happens within the tech world. Guess what? The person now goes out and now becomes what they call a legal technologist. Things I've never heard of. Yes. I've never heard of
and that. There is a market for them.
Yeah, and it's a big market because not everybody in legal understands tech.
Yes.
Right? And so in Kaegar, what Kaegar does, Kaegar first started as a training organization. But that training is still there. But we've gone beyond training now. Our job is now, what we now do is to sit down with people and say, you know what, let's look at where you're coming from. And tell you know what, based on where you're coming from, can you translate that your experience into today's job market? Right? And not a lot of people know how to do it. Some people come and, for example, you were a group head somewhere, you are a senior manager, and you're coming here to look for, because you're a group head, you think that you're looking for a group head role. That's not skill driven. The market here is skill driven, right? You can write 10 programming languages, okay. And what you sit down to is, after writing all of this, how does it help the organization run their engineering department?
Sure.
What can you solve there? So we take you through that discussion. We have workshops where we are able to help people to build it into capabilities, right? That helps them to translate it in discussions, whether in interviews or even when they start that job, because that's a huge gap. So we work with individuals, we work with universities, we work with other organizations that are trying to prepare their workforce for the new phase, right? I'm writing a book that is called The Marketplace Has Moved, right? And truthfully, the marketplace has moved. A lot of people are still using the old idea of, I go to university, if I work hard, I come out and I'll get a job. Entry-level roles are disappearing so fast, right? And someone asked me, oh, but how do I show 3 to 5 years work experience? All the little jobs you've been doing. If you focus on just doing the job, for example, if you're doing a data entry role, maybe in a mom and pop shop, if you're doing just that, you are doing a disservice to yourself for just saying I'm focusing on this. From that data entry, how can you use it to support them to make business decisions?
Yes.
If you can start helping them to make business decisions, you can start seeing a bigger picture.
Yes.
It takes you beyond, yes, you're doing a data entry level role.
That becomes data analysis.
Exactly. You're not even helping management.
Yeah.
Yes, you might say it's only 2 people that own the shop, but you are helping management to make business decisions. You understand? So that's what Kaegar has been doing. We work with universities across the UK, and so we are also evolving into African countries, right? We help people, we provide insights, right? Because we realize that there was a gap between what people believed employers wanted and what employers are actually looking for.
Yeah.
People are making career decisions based on assumptions that no longer hold true, right? And it's something that we've gotten to understand, we call it the hidden expectation gap. You will see a job description, you apply for it. You go for the interview, you find out that what they are discussing about in the interview goes beyond that JD.
Yeah.
Because HR just see copying the same JD out there.
The hiring manager asks you something applied.
Exactly.
And when you look up the answers, they ask you very specific scenarios. When this happened, what happened?
Exactly. The business knows what they want, but HR just copies.
Yeah.
The marketplace is moving. Sometimes business is when, like I said, you're working with a graphic designer or you're working with an accountant. You now find out that you have a tool that can do some of these things. So you're not saying whoever is going to come to replace that person must be able to add much more value, because these tools are doing the entry level bits.
Yeah.
And so you're looking for much more value, and you've not been able to document that value in a way that HR would replicate, because HR want to use standard templates.
True.
Right? And so once HR has put that accountant role there, you come for interview, and what they're asking you goes beyond just that accounting. They are now looking for some other capabilities that they want you to be able to see, can this person bring this into our business? And that's what Kaegar does.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for bringing clarity to Kaegar and CADware. I do hope that most of our listeners are able to key into this, because this is an opportunity for someone who did warehouse to evolve into positioning himself in such a way as to solve problems, real life problems. I think it's something that our people need to, not just our people, anyone who is trying to pivot into tech. I think you're the best person to go meet. I'll like, we're rounding up now, but I'd like you to what would you advise people who have just come into the UK? I'm not talking about just Africans. We have Indians in the United Kingdom. We have people who come into Europe. We have people who have done traditional work. If they are lost, what's that one thing that has helped you? And what's that one thing that you advise somebody who is trying to find out, who thinks that in this UK it's just care? I'm not, and this is me saying that care is absolutely fantastic. There's all labor is good as long as you can pay your bills. But you know, some people are built for more. So for those who are built for more, those who are in the categories of the Udokas, who know that I can do much more than this, what would Udoka?
Okay, so I'll say it two ways, right? Some people might go into care, and that's the best thing that could happen, because there's a huge need there. But spending 5 years there, right, is great. And you start asking yourself, while I'm here, how much more value can I add? Do I want to go the project management way, or do I want to buy into owning part of this business? How can I add more? Mine is always about how can I add value where I am. And it's not just about transitioning into tech. For example, I'll tell people that there's some people that I've seen as doctors, as nurses, they are tired of doing that, right? And I've said, why don't you do something like project management? You're still in the healthcare. And so if, for example, if you're still in the NHS, as a doctor that has gone to study project management, you're asking yourself, how can I apply this in my day job? And you now move from being just your day-to-day doctor to leading programs, to leading projects, right? So for me, it's about understanding how can I pivot my career, and that's something that Kaegar does big time. We help you sit back and look at where you're coming from. What are the opportunities? Because the market is changing. There are some roles that used to exist 5 years ago. For example, in 2020, 2021, 2022, Scrum Master role was a very big deal. Every day, you're Scrum Master. Now, project managers have taken up that role. BAs have taken up that role. Even devs are now
evolved into delivery management.
So, exactly. So people are now, other people have taken up that role. It's absorbed back into some other fields.
Yeah.
So for me, it's that understanding. Even if you, and also when you want to move, what we try to do is you can be stuck in somewhere for a long while. Are you ready to change? Are you ready to give all it takes? Sometimes it could take a year for you to prep yourself to start doing interviews to get where you want. It's not just about getting that job, I tell anyone, but it's about, if I get on that job, do I have the right capabilities to grow drastically in that job? Right? Do I have the right capability to grow? What do I need to do to remain relevant in that job? Because now, even as a project manager, you can be doing a project manager role and before you know, you're no more relevant.
That's
Not
true.
because you're not doing your job, but the market has moved,
Yeah.
and you're not showing that there are bigger parts of it, right? So the market is moving significantly. Even organizations don't necessarily understand it, right? But they just see themselves discussing about, this is what we need, this is how we need to go through, right? So those are some of the big things. Technology is changing things, right? We've gotten all the degrees, yes. We've seen all the companies. What value are we bringing into that, right? The organization needs us to apply judgment more, creativity more. They want you to deal with ambiguity much more, communicate more, lead more. And people are saying, oh, but I can do all of this. Okay, show it in that little place where you are and start practicing it, right? Else the truth, if you feel that you're not, start a business. And that's it. Where some people just want to just work in an organization, that's good. But if not, start a business and struggle your way through it. You will now see that there is so much. And yes, I know how to do this, and you're now seeing that, oh, this is the reality. You know, even for those that do TikTok, sitting down every day to do that thing, I know there's there's a lot of work.
Yes, there's something you're getting out of it.
Yeah. So whatever, because you know that whoever you're going to hire, you must be valued the person is creating. You're not just getting someone that just do admin work. You want someone that, for example, virtual assistants. You know why virtual assistants have become a very big deal now? Because virtual assistants have taken away thinking of anything from the people that they work for. So normally, if I need a virtual assistant, normally what I want you to do is look at my calendar, look at my schedules, help me to plan. But now virtual assistants are now helping the business owners to think about their strategy. You see, virtual assistants are helping people think about their strategy, think about their direction, how they are taking their this. Okay, look at what you have. This is your schedule. Are you sure you really want to go for this meeting this way? Why don't you position? And that's how it is. If not, you become irrelevant in that space.
Wow, that's deep. Thank you. Udoka, that's a lot of advice to give to those who are coming to the market, but it is invaluable. And for someone who I have been chasing for the better part of 2-3 months, I think it was quite worth it having you on the show. Thank you so much for your time. I do appreciate it. It was quite tough getting you to book me in for this meeting, canceling, rebooking, and canceling. But I'm sure our listeners will forgive you. But like I said, thank you very much, sir. We do, on the behalf of the Voyage City of God Grand Radio team and listeners, we appreciate you and we thank you for giving us time to share from your wealth of knowledge.
Thank you. I'd just like to say this before I go. So when I talk about what we do as career intelligence, is the ability to understand how work is changing, recognize where the opportunities are emerging, and making informed decisions about your career before market forces force you to. Most people are investing in learning new skills, which is good. However, career intelligence helps you to decide which skills, experience, and opportunities are worth investing in the first place. And even if you've invested in, how can you use them to pivot or transition your careers? It's a big deal right now because a lot of universities are now having people that are graduating, right, and are finding how to enter into the marketplace. Right, the universities are trying to do everything possible. What we do is we sit down with their students now or other senior people and say, you know what, this is how the market has changed. Arrange your capability this way, package it this way, so you can stand to use that as a pivot or a transition. And it's a whole lot of work, but it's been valuable for us so far.
Thank you so much. And on that note, I want to thank you again for your time. I do hope that our listeners will get in touch with you. Your details will be shown at the. Please tell us how people can reach you.
Okay. You can always reach out to me on LinkedIn, right? Or even Kaegar. We are very active on LinkedIn.
Okay.
And Kaegar
How do
itself.
you spell Kaegar so our listeners can?
Kaegar. So that's www.kaegar, Kaegar, right? Kaegar.com, right? We are very active on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, and even TikTok, right? So you can always reach out to us. We have a webinar that should be coming up sometime in August, right? But we'll give you the details as that is prepared. It's a free webinar. It's so that people can come and get clarity on what's happening. But then they will have subsequent discussions from there.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Udoka. Till we meet again, and on behalf of the Voyage team, we hope you enjoyed this session. Drop your feedbacks, and we'll get back to you on it.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate this.
Right,
thank you.